Adding the screen region here. This is Dear Esther. Oh, man, this thing.
Dear Esther, I have lost track of how long I have been here and how many visits I have made overall. Certainly the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me. I could stumble blind across these rocks, the edges of these precipices, without fear of missing my step and plummeting down to sea. Besides, I have always considered that if one is to fall, it is critical to keep one's eyes firmly open.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, this is... I wonder if there's a video options. Can I increase this? Detailed foliage. Foliage draw distance. It was all the way up. Aspect ratio. I would... Oh, yes! Dope. I can... nice. Oh, sweet. That might... Let's see if that changes things on the... on the stream. Looks like it has. I'm actually going to... do you guys want face cam for these games? Or what? I don't believe it's a horror game. I don't think we need face cam for this. It's fairly straightforward. The face cam isn't any good for much of anything as far as... Whoa, fuck off. Oh, this is cool. Oh, man. Where's Ray with his dirtiest toilets list? Oh, and that sink. Yeah, I think I'm going to tone down the face cam for a while, guys, because it's no good unless I'm playing either a horror game or a game like if I'm speedrunning Dark Souls. Then it's useful, but for even really for playing War Thunder and stuff like that, it's not a big deal. Also, Pokemon is usually a pretty good one with the Nuzlocke runs. Oh. This is pretty. This is very pretty. It's probably not a horror game. Oh look, bats, abandoned buildings, nasty toilets. All the classic hallmarks of a horror game. I'm just gonna, just...
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
There was a flashing light down there. I'm pretty sure Skyrim came out before this game. Although that, maybe. Can I tumble down the cliff? I can! Tumble down the cliff. Oh, no. This was actually released before Skyrim. 2008. Wow. This looks hella good for 2008. Hello, Lawmaster. I will say, guys, this game is not going to be exciting. So we'll probably play this for...
When you were born, your mother told me, a hush fell over the delivery room. A great red birthmark covered the left side of your face. No one knew what to say, so you cried to fill the vacuum. I always admired you for that you cried to fill whatever vacuum you found. I began to manufacture vacuums just to enable you to deploy your talent. The birthmark faded by the time you were 6 and had gone completely by the time we met, but your fascination with the empty and its cure remained.
This is not the Stanley Parable. This is Dear Esther. Oh, this is very cool. This is, or at least I believe this to be, it's called the golden ratio. It's the Fibonacci sequence, and it is, it's used to create perfect spirals. This particular, pattern. So if you complete these squares, the arc of this line will bisect the corners, and that's how you get a perfect spiral. So you'll find a spiral in things like nautilus shells and other stuff like that. So that's really cool. It's just hanging out there. I really like that. Oh, so the other thing about those squares is if you complete the squares, the length of the sides will be equal to the additive length of the previous sides.
I have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
I see, now I have to. Anyway. If we go to this, so I just, you have a box, that's 1 and 1. The next box is going to be here, or say it's right there. That's 1 and 1. And then the next box would be here, like this. That would be 2 and 2. And then the next box would be here, like this. That would be 3, 3, etc., etc. And that's how you get those lines. So as you can see, it's right here, this bisecting spiral. Obviously, it's not exactly perfect. But then you do, say I were to do that, and this spiral came up here. and that's it's hard to do with a mouse, but you know that's essentially what's there on the ground. Just as a silly little explanation for something of why I find that to be nifty. This is like, look at this. This is really, really pretty. I recently did a picture like that. Colored it in, shaded it, and did all sorts of nifty things. Just as a doodle. I'm just gonna swim out into the ocean. Fucking drown. Those are, in fact, tires. This game is weird. Like, I don't know where to go. It's really cool. I really like it. Keep your head up. Alright, well, I think I just drowned.
Come back.
Yeah. So there's that, the excellent thing. The excellent thing is, I think I just said that. That's one of those situations where I went to say something and then looked at something else and started thinking about it. And my brain was just like, just words, just throw some out there, just go, go, go. It was like, oh, that's the excellent thing. Yeah. So it was such a good thing. It was excellent. All right, so we have some stairs here. Some really, like, oh my god. This game looks so nice. Like, you guys probably aren't getting the full effect of it. Oh no. Disregard that. I'm actually going to go into paint here. I'm going to screen cap this. I know it's annoying to do this on stream, but it's really attractive, and I just want to. Photo. All right, sorry. Oh, it's super happy fun time in the explosion. Give me 1 second and we'll be right back. Alright, anyway. I know I can hit just F12, but I didn't want to. Also, I don't know where that folder is, so I'd have to go searching for it. But yeah, if you want to see a better...
A wonderful sight. The moon cresting the junction between the cliff path and the stone circle. It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach. All the world as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting.
If you want to see a better view of what it looks like not being destroyed by the quality of the stream, I tweeted the picture, so I just think it's really, really good looking picture. Okay, so we're clearly going up to the right here, which is nice. Like I said, we probably won't be playing this for very long, just because it's not an action-packed game.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boat, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection. And and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this. To keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Okay. That's interesting. Am I infected with something?
I quote directly. A motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to be the most godforsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
I want to... I'd love to be able to do voiceovers and things like that. It's like... That's so cool. But while I have an interesting voice, I don't have a voice that's like... narrative voiceover quality, or not quality. That's not the word. It doesn't have the narrative voiceover feel like those ones do. Like this guy's does. It's really cool. I really like that. I'd love to be able to do things like that. This is really interesting, because especially because of the path here. It's not actually cut as a path. It's just where the grass and overgrown ferns are not high. So it's clearly been trodden, but it's not it's not a gravel pathway. Oh man, a fucking boat.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton.
Right.
We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason, or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Risby had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
That's interesting.
This hermit, this seer, this distant historian of bones and old bread, where did he vanish to? Why, asked the farmers. Why, asked Jacobson. Why bother with your visions at all, if you're just to throw your arms up at the cliff and let it close in behind you and seal you into the belly of the island, a museum shut to all but the most devoted?
Do I have to speak friend and enter? Melon. Oh, that's a carbon, hydrogen, OH, oxygen. This is a chemical thing. And this one's not, though. This one's a... They call it a mine. Yeah, this game is really cool. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. It's so attractive. What's that? It's the paint. I guess it was just a circle. Yeah. It's more than 3H, I think. C2H50. I don't know. Do I go out this way? Can I go out this way is the question. 6 people hype. What is up, my half-dozen donut friends? Yeah, I know, it's not a very exciting stream, but this game is incredibly beautiful. So just let that sink in. No, no, no. I don't know where to go. I will say, like, give me 1 second, guys. It was definitely C2H502. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hang on, let me see if I can fix this. I wanna record some of this, like actually record the video because it's very CRF18 broadcast custom buffer. Yeah, I guess video. I really don't want to downsize this too much, but let's do that. All right, well that's keeping a nice frame rate. So let's go ahead and sorry. Oh, you know what? I can go up the other side here. Frame rate dropped a little bit. Shit. I actually want to... Oh, sweet. Well. Oh, whoa, whoa, it's so beautiful here. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Look at that thing. Why am I singing? Listen, don't judge. So, I am actually recording this right now. I don't know if the Dear Esther people are going to allow me to put this up, or if they allow people to...
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish. The sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer. that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and rib cage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Favorite Metallica song? That's a Bible. That looks like a Bible in chemistry. So this is it upside down? What? Okay, so N. We've got a lot of nitrogen. I can't tell if that is carbon. Yeah, that's a little more complicated than I'm able to do. It's pretty laggy on your end. All right, well I can stop the recording. I don't actually have to do that. I don't listen to a lot of Metallica. Not anymore, at least. Yeah, it's another chemical compound. I'm not going to try and figure it out. Let me think. Favorite Metallica song? That's weird. Hang on, I have to look up a... track list. Where is it? Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. My favorite Metallica album is "And Justice for All." I feel like that's my personal favorite, but I don't really listen to Metallica anymore. Oh, loading screen. You know what that means. Whoa! Yeah, explosions. Hang on.
My Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turnoff for Sanford and the welcome break services. But although I can always see it in my rearview mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Oh shit, look at this. Wow. That looks bad. Oil drums. Possibly chemical dump. Oil drums, everything. Yeah. Shipping containers. I'm a Wheaton on the beard scale. I don't know what that means. Frame skip there. Can I not get up there on the actual ship? I guess not. Wow, this is like... That doesn't mean a lot to me. As far as, like, I know of Will Wheaton's beard, but I don't know how I would rank it as far as awesomeness, so... I will take it as an extreme compliment, though. His beard is pretty nice.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
Oh. Here are those, seems to be those white marks buried into the chalk that he was talking about. Oh, up that way. I can't tell.
I had kidney stones, and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
Oh, that's sad. I will say, the writing in this game is very good. But I mean, I could do that. It's a massive sinkhole.
Is this what Paul saw through his windscreen? Not Lot's wife looking over her shoulder, but a scar in the hillside, falling away to black forever.
Maybe. Whee!
Come back.
All right. Well, I kind of figured out that would happen, so. Yeah, I know. It is a good narrative. At the same time, it isn't art.
Time to climb, away from the sea and towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
Like, I really like the narrative in this game so far. It's really cool. Death counter is actually at 2, Wolfie. I drowned earlier. I just feel like if I had the resources to sculpt an island, I could write
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him, either.
If I had the resources to build a giant island that is, reasonably populated with pretty scenery, I feel like I could write just as intriguing of dialogue as this. I'm not saying it's bad. It's very good, but. I guess the word is trite. Not really, though, because it's inconsequential is what I'm trying to say. Which is a good thing. In terms of this game, but it sculpts a story using unnecessary dialogue.
My heart is landfill. These false dawns waking into the still never light. I sweat for you in the small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass. I have always heard the waves break on these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me is this Hebridean music.
Like this. What it essentially is a collection of vague, artsy stories. I can't get close enough to read the frickin' word. Can't tell if there's a stain on there, if it's Hebridean history or. It's I don't know that it's burned. I think it's just an ugly house. It's torn down, obviously, and run down. This one might have been. You know what? I don't think it's burned either. I think these houses were. Oh, we've got another. That's some sort of. I don't know. I've seen things like that possibly before. I mean, it could be a. No, that doesn't make any sense. No. Oh, here's a grave. A fart noise wind. Thank you for that, wind. For lightening the mood. I think the only problem I'm having right now is I don't have the ability to climb over things. And that's something that I would really like in a game like this, is the ability to climb up something. Now, obviously, I won't be scaling that cliff over there, but I could climb atop this rock, and step upward from there. And maybe it's slippery and windy and I slide back down, but I'd still like to be able to go over that rock. I don't even know where to go from here. Do I go this way? Yeah, see, like that. But which way do I go? I feel like I have to get over there somehow, or maybe I go down this other side. I'll probably keep playing this until the next chapter, like that next loading screen, and then switch to something else. I really like this, though. This is really cool. Even though it seems like I was sort of ragging on the dialogue style. It's just... It's a particular style that is odd to me. It's overtly artsy, and I write in that style as well.
Jakobsen's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird.
Much like that. Things like that they can be desperately beautiful lines of dialogue or text. But in a situation like this, when they're disjointed...
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. His fingernails were raw and bitten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent moss that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps trying to reach the Bothy's fire before curling into a stone and exploding.
I punched the microphone, sorry. But it's sort of disjointed and odd. And it does tell a story, but it's not a... It does two things, both well and unfortunate. It creates a sense of vastness to the story. So it tells you about Jakobsen and why he built the house, and where he was from, who he was, and what he was doing. But then it goes right into, he was dead, had a birth defect, and it was weird, and what have you. And then it was when he died, he was frozen and all that stuff. It's all relevant information to the story and to the situation, but it doesn't actually tell you anything, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, because it allows you to feel as though you're being thrust into this story at random, where you don't know all the details, and it's just a narrator giving life to you're giving a life and a history to these cliffs and this island. But the other thing it unfortunately does is makes it so that the sentences and the phrases and things like that don't actually have to intertwine with each other, which would be a more difficult thing. It's a lot easier to tell beautiful parts of a story than it is to tell a full story in a beautiful manner, is what I'm trying to get at. So it's a double-edged sword with these little snippets of dialogue. It is very poetic, though, the writing of this style of writing.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Why that? Because, yeah, double-edged sword has a meaning. I could put it in more... Actually, a lot of swords tend not to be double-edged. Things like sabers. Rapiers don't have any edge at all. Falchions and things like that only have one edge. Essentially what it is, it's not saying that the sword has two sides. You could lengthen the phrase and change it a little. It's a sword that strikes its wielder, essentially, in that, yes, it is a weapon to be used, but it also has its downsides. And it's I don't want to say it's like holding a sword by the blade, because that's a technique that's used anyway, or that was used anyway. But that's the sort of concept of it. All right, I guess we're going deeper down into the. Oh!